Hi there, I'm Chef Dave Wilson with WD Colledge.
And I'm Chef Dan Frenette, also with WD Colledge.
Welcome to this edition of Colledge U. On today's episodes, we're going to be talking about Blodgett Combi ovens,
As well as Blodgett Hydrovection.
Are you limited in hood or kitchen space? Experience the revolutionary ventless technology of Houdini by Blodgett. Houdini uses a catalytic converter and condensing system to minimize smoke, steam, and odors, allowing the Blodgett Mini Combi oven to be placed outside a commercial ventilation hood. Let's see it in action. By meeting and exceeding national standards for air quality, it's likely that a Blodgett Houdini can be placed outside a commercial ventilation hood. Historic buildings, food trucks, kiosks, fast food, and anywhere hood space is limited are perfect for Houdini. Learn more about Houdini and find supporting documents to help with local variance requests by visiting our website.
So let's talk a little bit about combi ovens. We're standing in front of two here by Blodgett. We have our Houdini style sitting on our mini oven. This oven is available with or without the canopy. We have one here hooked up with our canopy. This is our universal line of combi ovens. These are available in multiple sizes. We can either have them with boilers or without. We also have them in a what we call our heavy duty series, which we don't happen to have one of those here, but it's built by Blodgett, built in the factory in Vermont, rigid angle iron frame. We've been making that oven for about 35 years now. It's one of our best ovens out there. So what is a combi oven? A combi oven combines convection and steam. We balance the humidity in the cavity with the moisture of the food that's in there. So we're not actually allowing any of the moisture that's in the product to escape. So that generates a much better product at the end of our cooking process. We capture all that moisture in there, don't let it leave. We retain it, cooks it faster, and it also gets a much more moist product at the end of our cooking cycle. So let's just talk a little bit about what makes us different from our competitors. One of our key features on the Blodgett oven is the Blodgett touchscreen control panel. This is our BC Touch oven, and it comes on standard on all of our Combi, Universal, or our Minis. The features of this is, you can see here, it's very similar to an iPod. We have recipes in there. We can store up to 255 recipes. We categorize them on it, so it makes it a little bit, to organize them makes it a little bit easier to find. Or if we use them constantly, day in, day out, we put them in our favorites. So that same recipe that's in that recipe category is now copies pushed over here for quick access, so the chef can come in and just push a recipe button. Within that recipe button, we have the times, the temperature, what mode we're in, whether I need to load things into the oven, I need to stir it. They're all contained within that recipe. We also have an ability to cook manually in the oven. We have three modes in here. We have convection, we have combi, where we combine the convection and the steam together. We can either do that by a timed allotment or a percentage of steam in the cavity to balance it out there. And then we have steaming as well. So we're a full-on steam system. Unlike some of our other ovens, we can get either 212 or we go all the way to 248 in a pressure steam situation. We also have a Smart Chef here, so if I'm really not familiar with how to do anything in the oven, we can just pick our product, our pork, say we want to grill it, and then we pick what color we want it on the outside, and then there's our color, and then interior temperature, and then we just hit start. The oven will take care of all of the requirements it needs to get it into there. So that's our Smart Chef for somebody that doesn't really know how to use the oven. And then our last feature is our Combi wash system on here. So at the end of the day, Combi ovens, they get pretty dirty. At the end of the day, when I'm done, I can just either go home, I can do a light, medium, heavy duty, or intense. So I go home at the end of the day, hit intense, it pulls in chemicals, washes the oven. When it's finished cleaning it, it turns it off. And that's another one of the differences between us and our competitors, is that we don't use proprietary chemicals. We use the chemicals that are similar to what you would use in a dishwashing system. They're mounted below the oven at the back, and just some hoses that go in there. So that's another cost-saving feature that we have with Blodgett Combi. So Combis will give you a much better product. retain moisture, speed up the cooking process. So generally speaking, every kitchen should have a Blodgett Combi oven in it. So that's just been a short recap of how the Blodgett Combi ovens work. For full information, you want to reach out to myself or my colleague Chef Dan, or go to the Blodgett Combi website. So that's been our general overview. So now let's see how these things work in action. We have a video here on how to cook a brisket. You're going to love that. It turns out fantastic. We also have one we're using our mini and using a grilling station. So we got to check that one out. And then we have a little short video on how to do something cool. We're going to dehydrate some vegetables and fruits for some garnishing of plates. Or if you're going camping, things like that, you can dehydrate stuff in the oven. So let's take a look at those videos now. Let's cook a brisket. We're going to be utilizing the overnight cook and hold feature on our Blodgett Combi oven. We're going to use the probe. We're going to cook it at a low temperature, low speed fan. We're going to cook it overnight while we're at home having a beer first, then getting a good night's sleep. Come in tomorrow and it's going to be perfect. Let's get cooking. Beautiful. All right, here we are the next day. Brisket's been in the oven overnight cooking and holding. It looks fabulous. We've slow cooked and hold. We've reached our internal temperature of 195 degrees. The unit, it's been in there for 18 hours and 44 minutes. All right, so we're gonna get it out of there and take a look at it, see what it looks like. Okay, brisket's out of the oven. It's been resting for a while. It's ready to go. Let's cut it open, see what it looks like inside. Look at that. Beautiful. That's what slow roasting and overnight cook and hold will do for you. We get wonderful yields and we get a tender and juicy product. Nothing better. Our rub is giving us a nice crust there. You can feel it, can hear it. It's that brown sugar and paprika. Always gives you a nice crust on your product. There we go. Ready to be devoured. Awesome. Blodgett Combi, overnight cook and hold. Perfect every time.
Today we're going to be sous videing as well as grilling, both in our Blodgett Combi oven. We're going to be making some steaks, some veg, some chimichurri, some other stuff. We'll throw it all together on a plate. We'll see how we do. Let's get cooking. All right, so I've got all my ingredients. I'm going to start prepping my veg. I've got my steak sous videing in the Combi now. So I'm going to be prepping some eggplant, some zucchini, some sweet potato, some corn, some peppers. I'm going to make a chimichurri, and I'm going to use the grill plate and cook it all in the Combi oven as well. All right? Our steaks are done. They've been in here for 2.5 hours at 118 degrees. There we go. These are going to be quite rare throughout, but they're going to come up to probably about mid-rare by the time I'm done grilling them. So then I got to let these rest. Put our grill pans in, get that oven preheated to as high as she's going to go. Steaks are resting. I got to get my grill pans in, get them nice and hot. Uno, dos. Let's fire this guy up. We're going to use dry heat convection, so we've already had enough moisture in the cavity. 482 degrees, continuous, 100% airflow, off to the races. All right, oven's hot, racks are hot, steaks rested, veg is prepped. All that's left to do is cook it all. So, need some landing zones for my hot racks. Here I've got my sweet potato and my garlic, which I steamed while I was sous videing. Okay. Need a towel. Now I'm going to get my hot racks out of the oven and load them up. So we're going to do kind of a merry mixture of everything here. So some sweet potato, my garlic, a couple of zucchinis, a few pieces of corn, some eggplant, nice red pepper. And I got a little bit of room left here. So just for presentation and for those really brave people, an Anaheim chili and a jalapeno. Open this up. These are going to take longer than my steaks, so I'm going to put them in now. Probably take about 10 minutes, I'm guessing. All right, my chef alarm went off. It's time to flip these. Woo! Oh, man down, man down. Oh yeah, nice caramelization. Some of these we won't need to flip because we're just getting a really nice roast on them. Sweet potatoes in the back I'm not overly concerned about. Don't feel like burning myself this very minute. Lost our Anaheim. That fella goes back on there. Back in, see you in a couple minutes. Okay, so my veg is almost done. I'm gonna get my steak in there, get it grilled off, and we'll cross hatch it about halfway through. Some scallions for some garnish. Close that up. Okay, so my inner chef alarm's going off. I think it's time to cross hatch. There we go. That was hard. All right, everything's all cooked. Let's pull it out of the oven and let it rest. Veggies out. And steaks out. Perfect, we're gonna let this rest a few minutes, then we'll plate it up. So this is almost done resting. Just gonna start plating up my veg. Chop it up. We cooked it whole for a reason, to make life easy. Get a little bit of this here. Get a zook. We're not going to need all of this veg, but again, I may have a little snack later on. Green zook. Okay. Get a little color contrast happening. Before we go any further, let's put our chimichurri down. Again, this is cilantro, Italian parsley, and mint, courtesy of Chef Dave Wilson's Fancy Pants Garden.
Thank you, Dan.
I just made a mess of things. That's okay. Some corn. Jalapeno for the ambitious. Nice charred Anaheim. A couple of pieces of sweet potato. And of course, roasted garlic. And last but not least, our steak. Let's see how we did. I'm getting hungry. Oh, I'd say we did okay. Folks at home would agree. A little bit of garnish. Again, some of that Fancy Pants Italian parsley from Dave's Fancy Pants Garden. See, I made a little mess over there just because I'm OCD. Get that out of there. There we go. That looks awesome.
So let's take a look at how we can use the Blodgett Combi for dehydrating fruits for garnishes and for drinks or plates. We're going to use a low-speed fan in convection mode, and we're going to let it run overnight while we're at home sleeping. Don't those look fantastic? Bartenders would be delighted to use these in their specialty cocktails, and the kitchen staff can use these for any garnishes for entrees or appetizers. Blodgett Combi, fantastic. So those are some great applications for using a combi oven. Like I said, for further information, just reach out to us to schedule a demo in our test kitchen. All these ovens are live here. Reach out to me via the WD Colledge website. So now let's hand it over to Chef Dan and see how the Hydroivection works. Chef Dan?
Hi, I'm Chef Dan Frenette, and again, today we're going to be talking about Blodgett Hydrovection. The main difference between a Hydrovection and a combi oven is that the Hydrovection is the only oven on the market that has a split door configuration that has continuous humidification within that cavity in a standard convection oven size footprint. We also have something called Helix technology, which is patented by Blodgett. What that does is it forces air into the cavity, evacuating the latent moisture within that cavity, or lazy steam. What this does is it creates a better product, increases your yields, and decreases your cooking times by about 30%.
Cafe Balut is located 76th Street in Madison on the Upper East Side. We have 3 services. We're open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week. We're able to do a lot of classic French here, as well as step out and do a little bit more modern styles.
In New York City kitchens, we need to make the most of each square foot. Our Hydrovection oven is able to take us through our entire menu, from production to baking and pastry to service. It's perfect. Now I say that, but you can tell that it's a sturdy, strong piece of machinery, but then there are the little things that I look for in an oven that are still in there. They listen to us as chefs and how they work into our kitchen in order to build a better oven.
It's one of my favorite ovens I've worked with. It's very consistent. The temperature stays at the right temperature. The fan cycle works great.
For me, the Hydrovection brings forth some utility in my kitchen that I wouldn't be able to have with a normal convection oven. The ability to cook at a low temperature with up to 95% steam, which is something you would get in a combi oven. However, the combi oven is going to take up so much more space and it's so much more inefficient. It gives us the ability to cook products in bags, to be able to program recipes and to have different cooking functionalities within one recipe. So starting with steam, ending with a dry heat, or being able to have a vent come up at certain times. And we're able to program that into these recipes, so it makes it much easier on our cooks to just go find the recipe, press the button, and go.
It's very approachable oven. It's not too high-tech and confusing. It's very easy to use. It's durable. It's easy to clean.
Ease of cleaning is very important to me as a chef. It's much less maintenance between the spray hose, the large drain, and the stainless steel liner. It gives us the ability to get in there, get out of there very quickly, and with little to no man hours. You know, this oven is a very well-designed oven. It's designed pretty much by chefs for chefs, and you know, they've taken feedback that myself and other chefs have given over the years to create a very solid, very consistent machine that helps us out a lot in our kitchen.
So here's the control panel, and this is the home screen. From here, I'm going to first and foremost show you the manual screen, which is where a lot of us are going to live. So from this, you can see on this very straightforward screen, I've got my temperature, I've got my time, I got my fan speed. I've got my vents open, so that's evacuating right now. I've also got humidity here. I can adjust the humidity by sliding this up and down. The other thing, if I hit the arrow, I get my pull-out menu. So from here, temperature, probe, so I can insert the core probe, and that will alert me once I've hit that internal temperature, and it will stop the cooking. Then I can move into +1, Hydroburst. Hydroburst is very important. What I can do is throughout that recipe cycle, I can hit Hydroburst at, let's say, 7.5 minutes, and eject the entire cavity with steam at that point, 100% moisture into that cavity at that point. That would be great for baking things like bagels or specialty products, sourdough bread that you really want to get that crust on it. Moving forward, here we've got fan delay time, so I can start low and slow, and then I can ramp that fan up. And lastly, fan reverse time. This is very important. The reason why Hydrovection only comes in a standard depth, it does not come in a bakery depth oven, is because I don't need it. I don't need to worry about rotating my pans because I can change the speed of the fans as well as the direction of the air, which direction that air is actually moving at. So I can set it at 2 minutes, and every 2 minutes that fan's going to change directions from forward to backwards. That's going to really eliminate hot spots and get a really good, consistent, even bake on that product. So from here, I'm going to go into menu. And from menu, I can add and customize my entire interface here. So I can create new recipes, I can create categories, I can add imagery to that to make it more user-friendly also. And from each of those, that's going to be saved into my favorites. So this is going to be very efficient for my staff to go and navigate their way through all of our recipes that they need. It's also going to eliminate a lot of human error. If that's a trialed and tested product that's been mise en place out, all they're doing is inserting that product consistently into the oven, following that recipe, and you're going to get the same cook every single time. Lastly, well, the second last we're going to talk about is rack timing. Rack timing is important. I can have different times as long as the same oven temperatures are set, different times for different products all throughout that cavity. So I can be baking, I can be roasting, I can be doing all kinds of things all at the same time with different times going at once. The last thing is the USB. I'm able to dump, save, or load menus that I've got by building them on the software or save them onto the USB, such as HACCP printouts and that sort of thing. So from here, we're going to get into some cooking. So I've got some focaccia dough, which I made earlier. It's essentially, basically just a pizza dough recipe, but I've added a few extra ingredients, including lots of herbs, lots of garlic, and then I'm going to generously grease up this pan with more of that herb oil that I made. Transfer the dough, which is proofed. I still need to let this proof a little bit more, but right now I'm going to poke holes in it with my fingers. Again, generously add the garlic and herb oil on top, and we're going to put this into our Hydrovection. We're going to get some really nice results. Sprinkle of salt, fresh ground, lots of Parmesan cheese, and we're going to finish it with Asiago petals as well. And then, to make it look really pretty, lots of different colors from these tomatoes. And these will roast and caramelize because we're going to be cooking at 400 degrees. So we're really going to start to caramelize some of those sugars throughout this, and you'll get a really nice end product. This will be great for a snack, make some sandwiches with, dips, whatever you want. There you have it. We're going to let that sit for about 10 minutes and then rip it through our Hydrovection. This is proofed up beautifully. Just going to add a couple extra little garlic nuggets on top. Get some really deep flavor here. Then we'll go over to the Hydrovection, program the panel, and fire it in for about 15-16 minutes. 400 degrees. We're going to set a hydro burst exactly halfway through, 16 minutes. I'm going to reverse my fans every 2 minutes. Low fan speed, 16 degrees, 400, 30% humidity, and this goes. I guess we're done. Let's pull this guy out. There you have it. A recipe that normally takes 25 minutes, done in 16 in the Blodgett Hydrovection. We're going to let this rest for a few minutes, cut into it, plate it up. Man, what an impressive bake. Look at that consistency. So much caramelization, so much rise on that bread, all due to Blodgett Hydrovection. Such an incredible oven. We got such a great rise on this focaccia because of the hydro burst feature. Really even caramelization on the top because of the fan speeds and the reverse fan speed mode. Look at that. Look at the rise. Look at the fluffiness on that. Steaming, just bubbling away. Let's plate this up with some cheese, a little bit of herb oil, some tomatoes, and then for my favorite part, we're probably going to have a taste. All this delectable focaccia is all due to the Blodgett Hydrovection.
So thanks again for tuning in to this episode of Colledge U. I'm Chef Dave Wilson.
I'm Chef Dan Frenette.
We'll see you at the next episode.